do? It's your boy DD back at it with another one. If you're like me, I can't work a 9 to 5 either. You could probably give me like maybe 2 weeks. I could possibly hold down a 9 to 5, but I'd probably get fired so fast. But let's just see what this guy's talking about.
See, I used to do a lot of gig work like Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, stuff like that. And I did that every day. And a lot of my friends would tell me like, why don't you just get a job, like a 9 to 5 job? You're working all these hours doing this every day. You're better off just getting a job. Like, you'll get paid more. The pay is more consistent. And I remember I told all of them, I would rather, do what I do and make 35 grand a year than work a 9 to 5 sitting in some office and get paid 100 grand a year.
Yeah, it's just freedom. At the end of the day, those hours from 9 to 5, those 8 hours, you're pretty much being owned. You're not living life on your terms at all. Those from the hours of 9 to 5, you are literally you're owned, essentially. You're owned. So it's just a freedom component. So that makes sense.
And like when I told them that, they all said like, "Oh, you're crazy, you're insane."
You know what's insane? What's insane is going to a job that you hate every day, expecting things to change, complaining about how you don't make enough money, things of that nature, but you're still going to this job that will maybe give you a 2-cent raise, next year. So I get it. At the end of the day, we're unfortunately in a system where we all need money and we all have to worship this almighty dollar. But at the end of the day, not everyone's built to be an entrepreneur, and I understand that. So I actually salute the people who do work 9 to 5s, because me personally, I could not do it. I don't think I really couldn't. Maybe unless I was in some dire situation, I had some kids or something, and I really had to take care of them. That's the only way I could probably do it. But if it's just me, and there's not a bigger purpose beyond me, there's no way I could work a 9 to 5.
Maybe. Maybe. All right, in this video, I wanted to take a couple steps back and kind of just tell people my story of what happened to me after I turned 18 and what my mindset was like back then, which kind of got me to start my entrepreneurial journey, which I guess led me to where I am now. But long story short, it's pretty much I can't work a 9 to 5. So for me, I didn't know what to do after I graduated high school. Like, I barely graduated high school. I had bad grades. I couldn't get into any of the colleges that I applied to. And at the very last second, I had to join like a community college. And my mom told me that if I could just find a way to graduate college, she could get me a job working at a bank as a bank teller. Like, she knew someone in the banking industry, and she told me she can get a job there if I can just graduate college. So my plan was like, okay, my goal is to just go to this community college, study really hard, transfer to like a university or a Cal State, graduate there, and then after I graduate, I'm gonna work at a bank for the rest of my life. And then I thought about it, work at a bank for the rest of my life. Like, something about that just sounded kind of depressing and sad.
Well, it is.
Like,
I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people spend the next 40 to 50 years. Possibly, there's a small percentage of people that really like their jobs, but for the most part, they're going to be spending the next 40 to 50 years doing something that they don't necessarily like, just so they can put food on the table, which is honorable. I get it. You have to do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, those 40 years, you're pretty much just a slave, and you don't really have too much say. Most of your waking hours, someone else is dictating your say and dictating what you have to do. Yeah. I'm going to have to say, fuck that.
I'm not bashing it. By the way, I'm not bashing anybody who works a 9 to 5 or who works at a bank. It's actually the opposite. Like, I have so much respect for people who can do this.
Me
because
too.
I can't.
Because
like,
I literally couldn't either.
I physically can't do it.
I couldn't.
Like, the more I thought about it, the more I thought about like how this was going to be my life. Like, the more I started to panic. This is going to be my life. This is going to be what I do for the rest of my life as a as a bank teller, sitting in front of a desk, typing in numbers, doing the same thing every single day. So from the very beginning, like something just didn't sit right with me. And I used to work at a part-time as a part-time cashier at this one cafe. And I still remember to this day, like vividly. But there was one day where I got home from working a full day shift on a Friday. It was 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I was working from opening to close that day. It was a full day, and I was dead tired. And I remember, like, I got home, and that Friday was the day where I received my paycheck. So it was a 2 week paycheck. It was like $450, I think. And I remember, like, I was excited. Like, I was dead tired, but I was looking at my paycheck of $450, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to spend this. And then I was like thinking of all the different things that I can buy, whatever. Like, I was lying in bed, dead tired, sleepy, tired, and just thinking about, like, with my eyes closed, like what I would do with this money. Like, I was holding the check, lying in bed like this, because to me that was a lot of money. But once I got past that phase of, thinking about what I can buy, I started to go a little further and start thinking about, like, okay, I'm making $450 every 2 weeks working at this part time job. That's $900 a month, right? And I was only working like 3 days a week, I think, at the time. So I was like, okay, if I can ask for another work day per week, I can probably up this to $1,000 instead of $900 a month. So $1,000 a month, for a broke high school student who just graduated, like, that's a lot. So I was like, okay, let me do this for an entire year, $1,000 a month. Let me save every penny. And I started to get, like, motivated. I was like, let me start to think of all the things that I can buy with $12,000. So I went from thinking about what I can buy with $450 to, like, let me work for an entire year, make $12,000. Okay, now I'm thinking about what I can buy with $12,000. So I was excited. But the more I actually thought about it, like, the longer I was lying in bed just thinking about how I was going to spend the $12,000, the more confused I got. Because I was like, sure, $12,000 is a lot of money, but there's not a lot that I would want to buy, first of all. And also, I'm working an entire year, taking drinks, taking people's orders, making drinks, sorry, and taking people's orders. Like, I'm already this tired from working one day. Like, can I even do this? Like, is this worth $12,000? And then I started to think about, like, how people are actually making, like,
It's not. It really isn't. I mean, granted, if this guy doesn't have any skill sets or he's just trying to stack up money to maybe put himself in a better position, I'm sure it would work. But that year would be a lot better spent actually learning a skill set, that a high income earning skill set. He'd be better off even working for free a whole year, especially if he's still with his parents, learning a high income skill set, because you're really just wasting a year of your life for the most part. Yeah, if you're able to save the whole $12,000, but, like, I mean, without any knowledge or whatnot, like, what are you gonna really do with that money besides, like, sitting in the bank? You can invest it, all that good stuff, but when you're that young, the focus should be how can I, and even when just in general, the focus could be how can I get my income, my active income, as high as possible. That comes with skills. Your income that you make in this world is a direct correlation of the value that you actually bring to this world. So that's what I would focus on if I was at his age. But and especially if he doesn't have the responsibility of, like, life expenses and stuff. That'd be a different story if he did. But since he doesn't, it sounds like in this case, that's what I would focus on.
Full-time living, making all this money. And then I thought about it. I was like, okay, jobs, that makes a lot more sense. Like, I'm working at a minimum wage. I'm working a minimum wage job at a cafe. Like, a 9 to 5 office job is different. Okay, these people are making 40,000 to 80,000 a year. Some higher paying jobs like doctors, lawyers, they're making hundreds, $100,000 a year, and that's a successful job. That's a successful life.
And that's another problem I have, bro. Even, like, those high paying jobs, they're capped. There's a glass ceiling on all those jobs. So even if you get better at your craft and better at what you do, you don't see there's not a direct correlation to that because you're stuck at that same salary. You know what I mean? That's why I love sales. That's why I love business. Because at the end of the day, the better you get, the more money you actually make. And that actually makes you realize that you always got to keep evolving. Always got to keep evolving. And then your income will follow with it.
And I was like, okay, now I get it. So I need to go. My goal should be to aim for these types of jobs, like these 9 to 5 jobs. That should be my goal. So then I started to think about what my life would look like once I start working a 9 to 5, like an office job, like just sitting in front of a desk, typing in numbers, filing paperwork,
Jeez.
just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I was like, I don't want to work in an office. Like, it's already this stressful
Bro, that would be
working
torture.
at a cafe.
For me, that would
and
be
all I'm doing is
literally
just
torture.
taking people's orders and making drinks. And I'm already this stressed. Like, imagine a full-time job. You're telling me that I have to spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, doing the same thing over and over again,
In a jail cell.
working for a company that doesn't care about me. And honestly, like, I don't care about the company either. But you're telling me I have to do this for the rest of my life? Like, is this really the only way to make a living, to make money? Like, is this the only path that's available? And
Right,
this was
right.
when, like, my confusion level started to reach, like, its peak. And my confusion slowly started to turn into anger. Like, I was like, wait a minute. How are there millionaires in the world? Like, I understand celebrities. I understand athletes and, you know, these musicians, these professionals. Like, those people are making millions of dollars. Like,
And
cool.
I get where he's going. I also had this same exact thought process when I was younger, too. I was like, wait a minute. How are people really making, like, the big bucks? Like, how are they doing it? Then I came to the realization and came to the conclusion it will never happen from a traditional job. It won't, because you're capped. So, I
understand,
understand.
like, all
I
these
see where he's going
actors,
with
these
this.
world level athletes, whatever. Cool. I'm not talking about them. But I was like, celebrities aren't the only millionaires in the world.
And plus,
There are-
it's a super inefficient way to actually generate money by trading your time for money because you only have so many hours in the day. And plus, you can work, if you have the right skill sets, you can work 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours a day and blow people who work 12 hours a day out the water. And what I'd suggest for anyone who wants to make a ton of money, learn how to sell high ticket items.
There has to be other people that I don't know about. These normal people that have millions of dollars, that have all this money. Like, how are they doing it? You know, do they have like a job? Do they have one of those, you know, successful $100,000 a year jobs? So I was like, okay, maybe this should be my goal. Because for me, I needed a goal. Like, I needed to know what path to take. So I was like, okay, I work really hard and then I get one of those $100,000 jobs. So let's assume that I somehow found a way to live for free. I don't pay rent. I eat for free. I drive to work for free. I don't spend any money on clothes, on insurance, nothing. I have no bills whatsoever. And then on top of that, let's assume that I somehow found a way to avoid taxes. Like, I found a cheat code or a hack. The government can't catch me.
Put me on.
Somehow,
Put me
the
on,
entire $100,000 a year that I make, the salary that I make, I keep all of it for myself.
Yeah.
I don't have a single expense, and I save, and I
Yeah,
somehow
about that.
find a way
About that.
to save
And
every
plus,
penny.
Uncle Sam's going to take about 30% of
It
that.
will still take me 10 years to reach 1 million. 10 years of slaving away, working at a job I hate,
Yep.
because I know I'm going to hate it, saving every single penny, not paying a dime in taxes, working at this supposedly successful top tier job, 10 years of that, and I have 1 million. There are multi-millionaires out there somewhere, billionaires. Like, I'm not even going to get into that because I couldn't even fathom, that wasn't even a thought that went into my head. I couldn't fathom it at that point. But there are multi-millionaires out there, these normal people. Like, let that sit. Like, I don't know about you, but that made me so angry. Like, I got up from my bed. Like, keep in mind, I was dead tired. Like, I just came back from working a 12-hour shift. I was lying in bed, eyes closed, ready to sleep. But as soon as that thought came into my head, like I just couldn't sleep. Like I got up from my bed and got in front of my computer and I started to type like all the ways to make money, how people are making money in their sleep, how millionaires become millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was so angry and upset at the fact that my entire life I was told that I need to be striving for this 9 to 5. That the whole purpose of me going to school, going through all these things that I went through, learning all these things, whatever, to reach the pinnacle of life, to have a successful life, I need to work towards this 9 to 5. This should be my goal. And then there are people out there making millions of dollars, and these guys don't work a 9 to 5. Like, there's no way. Like, I wanted to know what they were doing.
Literally no way.
Like, I didn't sleep for 2 days. 2 days. I was just in front of my computer, angry researching. Like, I've never done anything like this in my entire life. Have you ever angry researched before? Like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're looking for. You're just upset and you need to know. So you just research. Like, you don't care about anything. You're hungry. You have people calling you. You don't care. I need to find an answer to this. I'm going to find it. So why am I mentioning this story? It's because if there's one thing that I learned over the past couple months posting on YouTube, it's that there are a lot more people like me than I actually thought. People who think like me, people who...
Okay, we get the gist. Yeah, so guys, pretty much like long story short, even with the higher paying professions, it's it'd be really tough to actually, if that's your goal, because a lot of people's goal is just to be comfortable. Well, okay, I got to work 40 hours a week, then I can have the rest of the hours to myself. Fine, you can make that work. But if your goal is to actually have the maximum freedom, maximize the actual return on investment of the work that you put in, because who really likes to work? So if your goal is to really maximize and get the highest return on investment for the energy you put in to work, a 9 to 5 will not be the answer. It won't. It can't. It's literally impossible because of the simple fact that you happen to trade your time for money. So the goal is to ultimately get your active income up as much as possible so that you can actually funnel that into one, either investing yourself like a business or whatnot, and that actually will get you the quickest return, or you can do long-term strategies that actually create you passive income. The whole goal is to get to the point where your active income is building assets, and those assets are ultimately making you passive income. Okay? Let's see what these comments are talking about real quick. My biggest thing with the 9 to 5 grind is the fact that you're limited on time off, vacation days, etc. I'd rather make less money and be able to take whatever time off I wanted. 100%. And that's another thing too. There's no price tag on your freedom. That's priceless. Excuse me. That is priceless. I 9 to 5 remotely, but I can't 9 to 5 in an office. It's like jail, pretty much. There's a lot of us out there like you, bro. I'd rather be homeless living in a van than working 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. Can't stand it. And a lot of people are waking up to this, but we need people to work 9 to 5s. We need people to work 9 to 5s. Every business you call, yeah, I mean, those guys are working 9 to 5s. Any like retail business, whatever you calling them, customer service is on the phone, da. We need that, or society would 100% collapse, or economy would collapse. But doing the same thing every day like a robot, this is one of the reasons I hate 9 to 5 jobs. Yeah. I mean, it's just slavery at the end of the day. Come on. But if you guys are new here, I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. So if you guys could just comment what your thoughts are on working a 9 to 5, what 9 to 5 job that you possibly work and why you hate it so much, and ultimately what your goals are outside of the 9 to 5. I haven't worked a 9 to 5. So I was probably like 19 or 20 years old. 19. So I was like 19, I think. Yeah, like 19. So I'm not saying it's easier on this side, but at least you have your freedom, and at least you can see exponential growth. You can actually see growth. You're not making the same amount you were making 3 years ago, type stuff, or 4 years ago, So that's just my 2 cents. I should probably start a course on this type of stuff. But it's a little too early for that. I don't want to be like most of these content creators, just making videos and selling their bullshit courses that suck. So if I ever made a course, it'd have to be fucking amazing for me to even feel like, I feel like I'd have to bring so much value that I'd be doing a disservice not to have people actually promote the course. But it's your boy Didi signing off. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe if you're new. And I'm curious, once again, to see what 9-to-5 jobs you guys work if you do, and why you hate it, and what your life will look like outside of a 9-to-5. But take care, guys. Peace.